Meet Big Bertha. So yeah, this is the camper I've mentioned before. You've seen it in one of my first videos when I did a bit of a tour of the place, I think. This is a 1999 Jayco Eagle E450. I bought this camper to fix up. It has some pretty serious problems in terms of cosmetics and whatnot mechanically. Relatively sound. Allegedly, it's a new engine and new transmission. There is only 70,000 kilometers on the engine, so it drove 7 hours here, so I'm pretty confident with that. I don't plan on going too far with it, so as long as it's, somewhat working, I'm happy. I do have a bit of work to do to it, but I'll give you a quick kind of overview of it and my plans for it, and we'll go from there. So we'll have to close this right away. This is way better. So, E450, like I said, a lot of cosmetic damage, but I got it for a really good price. So, storage, great. Tires are in good condition. I do believe I have a sticky brake. Some of these compartments are actually seized shut, so I haven't been into them yet. So I don't really know what's in all of them. But frame-wise, everything looks good. Like I said, it ran here. I drove it. Well, the guy drove it 4 hours, and then I drove the next 3 or 2 and a bit. So honestly, it is in pretty good shape. You can see back here, this wall was obviously rebuilt, or inside they rebuilt it, which I'll show you when we can do a quick scan. But the main problem is the roof, which this is the second time I filmed this video. I ran out of storage 9 minutes into my 16-minute video and I didn't notice. So climbing this ladder with one arm is kind of, I guess I put a lot of faith in this. So this is the problem, the roof. The roof leaks like fuck. Obviously there's a low spot there. What I think happened was the original roof failed and the old owner kind of did a patch job, and he did a pretty bad job. Now, honestly, I think like the membrane is fine. It's just the fans and vents and stacks are done poorly, so they leak. So when you get inside, you'll see what I'm talking about. So, wait. Oh, I think I have to go through the front. This door latch is broke, so it remains locked. I do. So we'll climb into the cab, which I actually keep my chainsaw oil and gas in right now. But I'll turn around and give you a quick tour of the cab. I haven't cleaned it up completely yet. I've definitely done some cleaning, but holy, the flies. That's new. I guess it was cold, but it's absolutely beautiful today, so they're around. Cab is in pretty good shape. Console needs some work done, but other than that, it turns over like a top. Everything runs good, so above the cab, honestly, not bad. I'll probably just sheet this in, plywood or rough wood or pallet wood or something. I might go for the kind of rustic wood look. And as you can see, here's the main problem. We had some mold, which I started tearing this thing apart with no mask on. Didn't get sick, so we're okay. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's rough, but I got it for a very good price, and I think I can fix up most of the stuff. Fridge works, allegedly. Stove works, microwave works, all alleged. I haven't tested them, but I mean, there was a water heater. Don't know if this one does. This is my heater and AC. So that is this unit that's not here, so I think that was this unit, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. I think I can put my own in. The bathroom is actually in great shape. So, although I do have to clean that up a bit. Bedroom, not terrible shape, but definitely needs some loving. I have to tear out all the paneling. That's all coming down. And shower needs to be redone. But I mean, that's to be expected. Like I said, I paid not much money for this, so the fridge did turn on. I didn't check the compressor, but so I will set this up and kind of chat with you for a bit and tell you my plan. I'll get it nice and somewhat level. So yeah, so I've been looking for a camper project for a while. I found this one in the spring or early summer, and the price was right. It was 7 hours away, but conveniently, or almost 8, I had a friend that lived there, and I was actually going to visit him. So when I went to visit him, it turned out the camper was like 5 minutes away from his house, so I came and looked at it. I didn't really care about this part of it because that's something I can do. The mechanical was the big thing. And he was like, yeah, no, runs fine. I drove it here from 3 hours away. It was on the road earlier this year, blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, so mechanically, seems all right. Interior and cosmetics needs a lot of love and needs a lot of work, but it's stuff I can pick away at it and stuff you can do, not half-ass, but like a easier way and not, not be into a bunch of money and a bunch of crazy labor. So my plan of attack is to strip all this paneling, naturally, this side too, and I'll just, holy, the screws. I'll probably just put like simple, either tongue and groove or pine board or maybe some pallet board, or it'll definitely be like the rustic barn look, which I love anyway, and really isn't that hard to do and relatively inexpensive. I'll probably lay down a new floor. The subfloor is in good shape, it seems, so there's no soft spots that I've found, so that's a big plus. I'm sure there are some, but I really only want this for probably 2 years, and then I'm happy to kind of do another build. But yeah, so my plan is this roof is completely compromised. That's not supposed to happen. So I'm going to cut out the roof from basically where the camera is to about right here. The middle section of the roof, fine. And I think that's because there's more support there. But here it's completely compromised. So I think if I cut this out, rebuild the roof, there's no vents or anything here, so it's not really that bad. Everything that's vents and whatnot and stacks are right there. So I just cut this completely out, rebuild it, set it back on, which is the frame, and then I can finish it from the inside once it's attached properly. There's just holes everywhere that just weren't fixed properly. And same with above the bedroom. I just cut it out. There's a bit more vents and stacks back there, but I can rip those out and put new ones in pretty easily. If you have a proper frame, putting in vents and fans and stacks is actually pretty straightforward. Just be very liberal with your sealant and make sure if your boot is situated properly on the stack. And for your fans, yeah, just make sure your sealant is good. There's some overlap, like there's some like tape stuff you can get for sealant on top of your caulking and silicone. So I think I can kind of make do. This wall I'll have to strip. And I think this wall was obviously rebuilt because I do have some video of me when I started ripping this thing apart. Make sure we're still recording. But when I ripped through this, I was like, oh shit, like there's insulation in this wall. And now I'm not really familiar with campers, but I assume most campers don't have regular bad insulation and vapor barrier. I could be wrong. Maybe that's how this was made, but this looks like it was a redone job, and then they put this on, which is fine. It's just this stuff here is basically like cardboard, so any amount of moisture gets in, it soaks it up, and if it's not taken care of, it rots and molds. So honestly, like the wood is in pretty good shape. It's really just the paneling, except for the ceiling. The ceiling completely, or the roof is completely like compromised and failing. So that has to be repaired. And like that's like just rubber membrane. I could just cut through that and I'd be on the roof. Like there's actually no structure there. So that's a bit of a concern. But I think when I cut that out, and right here, you can see it now, I think this is just an actual wall. Like that's fucking 2x4s. So that is kind of load bearing enough for me that if I cut it right there, and actually it looks like it's separated right there. So I think it's going to be pretty straightforward-ish, but I assume like anything when you rip into it, it's going to be a different story, but we'll see. My plan is to start this in probably November. I want the roof done in November. I'm fortunate enough that my neighbor has a very large barn, so I can park it in there, replace the roof, get that sealed, and then I can bring it back over here and work on it, work on the interior. Because I think, honestly, like, once I get the roof on, I'll probably just lay down new vinyl floor with underlayment, run my own wiring, and plumbing I might redo, which is all in the back and I think accessible from underneath. Because I don't really know if anything else is compromised, that's my word of the day, I guess, or not working, I think I'm just going to rip out the old tanks, the old plumbing, and the old electrical and run my own. I'm going to set up a 12-volt solar system on here, as well as replace the gray tank, white tank, and, well, waste tank. Toilet seems fine. Replace the shower and put on a new water tank or two, and just kind of, I think if I rip some of that stuff out, I'll have some extra room underneath, and I can really set everything up there, because I don't plan on being in here in the winter, so I don't really need to have this place completely, insulated and sealed, because as long as I drain it over the winter and winterize it, I can store it. But I don't know if I'll leave the kitchen. It's kind of like fully intact, so like I would feel bad, or like almost like a waste to tear it apart. So I'm not really sure if I want to do that yet. It's not really my favorite setup, but this is kind of just me dipping my toes into camper builds and this life. It's something I've been like loving for years and wanting to get into. So when I seen this pop up for very affordable price, I was like, I have to do it. And I get to make it my own, which I think is cool. Like that wall is obviously redone. I don't know if there's any fucking wasps in here or what, but I think like I could insulate that quite easily, and then finish the boards, and like that's a great wall. These are just plywood paneling, I think. Yeah, like that's just plywood, but there's so many screws. They went really excessive on that. I think I would just rip that plywood off and then just put my board on. And then same thing with this roof. Like this roof is just plywood, but it completely rotted out. So it's got to be ripped out. And I think like I said, I'm just going to cut it. Same thing. This is another 2x4 wall. So this wall is a 2x4. So structure, load bearing. So the middle of this camper is super rugged, and I have no concerns about the roof at all. And I really only need access to the back. And there's one of my stacks that I have to take care of. So like a lot of it is accessible, and I think pretty straightforward. I know enough that if there's something I don't know, YouTube or Google is your best friend. I have friends that are contractors, electricians, plumbers, red seal carpenters. So if I really run into any serious problems, I have resources to ask. But I think once it gets going, in the meantime, I do have some other stuff to take care of with work, and I've got a trip coming, so I'm not going to get this started for another month or so. But once I get started, I want to bang out most of it in this winter. I have the growing list of projects for this winter, but luckily that's when work slows down, so hopefully I'll be able to kind of get to some of them. So yeah, this is Big Bertha. I've already gave you a name, but I haven't quite settled on that name. I just kind of ran with it because she is a big, tanky girl, and I think it's just fitting for her. But if there's another name you guys think of, or, it's not a name you like, put in the comments. It's not set in stone. That's just what I ran with because it is a big, rugged girl, and when you're driving around the highway, she feels that way, but it's not like, this isn't going to be my real camper, so I'm not really too dead set on an actual name. Oh, look at that little fucking goddamn fake ladybug. There's some kind of like Asian beetle that are now here, and they're in here. Well, looks like I've got some stuff to do. I got to patch up these screens. That's how the flies are getting in. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Stay tuned for, more camper content. That's going to be a little bit away, but I'm actually now going to film another video, I think, where I try and start up my chainsaw for the first time this year. So fingers crossed. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. Peace.